Hi guys, what's up? So you just watched that clip from EBUKA Tons of Africa, and I'm sure in your mind you are thinking, is this going to be the pinnacle of all dramas? Well, it wasn't. A lot happened from Nigeria to Rwanda to Morocco. The EBUKA Tons of Africa was drama intensified. So I'm going to be getting into it. But before I get into it, I want you to go to the comment section. Let me know who you think is the biggest actor in Africa in comparison to Zubby and Timini. Who do you think it is? Right. So let's get into EBUKA Tons of Africa. So EBUKA, if you don't know who EBUKA is a media personality, a host, a fashion guru, an interviewer. Talk about anything entertainment. EBUKA is the one to call in Nigeria and in Africa. So he decided to bring in his friends together for them to go chill, tour Africa, and he brought in five of his friends, right? So the entire thing started from Ebuka, talking about himself, his family. He's married with two children, and he's having the time of his life. They're definitely ups and downs, but he's having the time of his life. And then he decided to, show us who and who were going to be with him on the trip. And the first person, because they all met at the airport, right, where the plane was, I guess. Yes. So the first person to come in was Jimmy. Jimmy was the first to come in, and Ibuka described him as somebody that was very sensitive, especially with his emotions. Is somebody that could be, just very sensitive and guarded, right? So I was like, okay, that's fine. Let's see who Jimmy is. And we saw who Jimmy is. Jimmy is also an entertainer. And when Jimmy came in, Jimmy was like, guy, I'm really hyped up to be here, blah, 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 ish. What's going on? I just hope that the people that are going to be here will have sex and all, just talking and chilling. And yeah, I was like, okay, Jimmy's cool. Let's see who the next person is. And then Alistair comes in. Alistair is like and the bubbly person, always happy, extroverted. He's just, always very happy. And then next thing we see Onoja. Onoja is an entertainer. Onoja is more on the reserved side. He doesn't talk so much, but he chips in one time, two times, something like that. So Onoja comes in and everyone just chills, greets each other, and then just chill for who the next person is. Next person I see is Bad Boy Team, Timini. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to be waiting for you guys to, hit up the drama when you guys have gone to see yourself, when you guys have chilled together, you're bonded together. I wasn't expecting that the first drama was going to start immediately they met themselves. So immediately bad boy teams came in, everybody was hyping bad boy teams now. Timini, the bad boy, this, that. I'm like, okay, cool. And then he was like, yeah, when have I missed? Like, I've never missed, just hyping himself up. Only for Jimmy to say, you have missed Ogami. And Timmy was like, tell me when I've missed. Tell me when I've missed. And then Jimmy said, you missed my wedding. And I'm like, couldn't you guys just wait till when you guys have gone further in this thing before you decide to start unloading and unpacking your baggages? What's going on here? Everyone was just like, and then from then, they didn't talk about it again. So we waited for the last person, and the last person, guys, was Zubby. When I saw Zubby, I was like, the Emperor, the Conqueror, the Lion is here. Who brought Zubby into it? I wasn't even expecting that Ebuka was even going to, be very close friends with Zubby. Not because I feel like Zubby is a bad person, but I just feel like Zubby has this very intense character, very intense attitude. And from what we have seen, from his movies, I just feel like he's somebody that might look a little bit very hard. Do you understand? When Zubi came in, Zubi was like one of the most calm person. He was just chilled, like I did here now, we did here. Make I just chill, make I just enjoy myself. I'm like, wow, that's so nice. And then everybody started talking who is single, who is married. Definitely Ibuka is married. Jimmy is also married, just got married, has a son. So Timini, Onoja, and Alista, and they made sure that Zubi joined their own circle, like the single guys. So that's how they took off from Nigeria and went to the first place, and that's Rwanda. Rwanda looked so beautiful. They got to their where they were going to stay. It looked so beautiful. Their apartment was so beautiful. They all attested to it that it was very beautiful. And immediately after they had gone, changed up. Guys now they know they waste time. They don't change clothes, come back, come sit down for sitting room. Like, guy, what's up? What's going next? And Ebuka decided that he had gifts for all of them. That first thing, the first thing that came to my head was, this is just cliche because for every reality TV show I've watched, they always have gifts for each other. Why? Is this something that realistically happens on a normal day? That I just wake up one morning, my baby, I just call and say, we meet up. The next thing I have gift for you. So it wasn't really looking. I just felt like you guys just wanted to follow the template of. You just wanted to follow the template of You just wanted to follow the template of normal reality TV shows, and then Ebuka told them to open their packages. The first person that opened his package was Onoja. Onoja saw $1 in his package. Was like, what the fuck? Why do I have $1 in my package? And Ebuka was like, the reason why I gave you $1 is because I know you love money a lot. So yes, that got me laughing. That was like, yes, that's a realistic gift. That's something that guys can do. That's something that I can do and give my babe. So she would not even believe that that's what I was going to give her. And then he gave Alistair juice. Said Alistair loves juice. He gave Zubby sushi. Because he said Zubby is one to not like to try new things or experience new things, so he gave him sushi, and Zubby ate it day and day. And then he gave Timini a condom because you know now, bad boy things like the babes. And then he gave Jimmy a portrait or picture of his wife because Jimmy is married. So he said on this trip, do not look at any other girl. Do you understand? And right then, Timini said he went to Paris, so he brought some gifts for the guys, and then he shared the gifts for the guys. So right after he shared the gifts for the guys, they started just talking, and the next thing is Timini saying, "I am the biggest actor in Africa." I'm like, why? I'm like, why would you say that, knowing that Zubi? Like, I'm not saying don't hype your work or don't hype yourself, but I am one of the biggest actors in Africa. Is better than I am the biggest actor in Africa. I don't know. Is that wrong? I was saying I'm the biggest actor in Africa. Well, that's also fine. And Zubi responded. Ebuka first said, Zubi, you're taking this on his seat. And Zubi was like, he's just joking. He knows that I am the biggest actor in Africa. So right before I continue, I want you guys to go to the comment section and let me know who you think the biggest actor in Africa is. Is it Zubi or is it Timini? Because Zubi said that in some local places, some places they don't know Timini, just on the island and just when it comes to Netflix. He actually gave Timini his flowers. But Timini was not even ready to give Zubi anything. Like he was like, you take scripts that me I reject, that kind of thing. So I felt like it was coming from a place of pride, especially when it comes to Timini, because he was underrating Zubi. And then Zubi went on to hit up the entire argument and said he could buy Timini. When he said that, I said, now, guys, when I heard that I'm the biggest actor in Africa, I'm like, you want to find trouble. And you know the very funny part is a lot of people say, women are petty, women are petty. Men are worse. Welcome to EBUKA Tons of Africa. I'm going to be giving a rundown into what happened in Nigeria, in Rwanda, and also in Morocco, and back to when they came back to Nigeria. Let me talk about Nigeria and Rwanda. So the EBUKA Tons of Africa is just EBUKA. EBUKA is a media personality, a host, a fashion guru, a fashion icon, a father, a husband. So, he decided to bring in a couple of his friends for them to, tour around Africa and just have fun and chill, and, get the time to bond. And then he brought in, I think, 5 people. We have Jamie, we have Alistair, we have Onoja, we have Timini, we have Zubby. Right, so that's 5 plus Ebuka, that's 6. And in my head, when I heard about the show, I was like, okay, this is going to be very interesting because we have seen a lot of women shows, just women, and it has always been about drama, materialistic vanity, things that didn't weren't actually worth it. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be a lot more matured, because they say men do not actually keep beef. Men easily just squash what they want to squash out and they move. So I'm like, I want to see what the difference is going to be like on this reality show, right? So it all started up, they started introduced us to Alistair, to Jimmy, to Onoja, to Timini and Zubi. Actually, we didn't know everybody that was going to be there because everybody met at the airport, right, where they wanted to take their private jet to, or the private plane to Rwanda. And the first person to get there was, I think, Jimmy. Yeah, so Jimmy came in, and Ibuka already told us that Jimmy is kind of very sensitive. He wants his things the way he wants his things, and his emotions are always very, very. He always wants to protect his emotions. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. And Jimmy came in, was quite excited. I liked his vibes and extent. And then next thing we had Onoja come in. Onoja is like a party. It's like a I don't know how to say it, but he's an entertainer to an extent, right? And then we have Alistair come in, and then bam, 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 bam. Who did we see? We saw Timini, a bad boy team. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. We have Timini on this list, so yeah, it's going to be fine. And then we had Zuby. So when Zuby came in, I think everybody was very, very surprised that Zuby was going to be on that trend, because there's already this pre-notion about Zuby, that Zuby is kind of very violent, he's not chilled, he's just brass and all. So everybody was not a lot of people were not expecting that Zuby was going to be there. I wasn't expecting that Zuby was going to be there. And when Timini came in, the first drama that happened, I was even like, these guys are going to chill to when they have spent a little bit of time together. They have eaten food together. They have been able to chill together before they start to pop up this drama. They didn't wait for that though. Immediately the drama happened. So let me tell you the one that first happened. So Jimmy had his wedding, had Timini on the boy train, or let's say the men train. He wanted Timini to be part of the men train, and I don't know what happened. Timini didn't show up. So when Timini came in, everybody was hyping him up, bad boy teams, bad boy teams, stuff like that. And he was like, I've not, the guy now, I've not failed in any way. I've not, he was just hyping himself up. And then Jimmy says, of course, guy, you don't fuck up now. You have missed it. And Timini was like, wait, tell me one time that I missed it. And he said, you didn't come for my wedding. I'm like, you guys are just meeting. I don't care if you guys meet on a daily basis outside of this, but in this, you are just meeting for the first time in this setting of EBUKA Tons of Africa. I was expecting a little bit of time before you guys start to unload and expose your baggages that you had. And no, it didn't stay up to that though. Immediately, Jimmy cleared to me that you that didn't come for my wedding. I'm like, oof. Everybody like, oof. So right after then, we just saw Zubby come in. Everybody was like, "Hey, Zubby, let's see Zubby they do for a year." And he was like, "With time, we are going to know who the real idiot is." I can never forget that line. With time, we're going to know who the real idiot is. And I think from that statement, I started to like Zubby in a kind of way. So yeah, it was all vibes. They got to Rwanda, they got to the place that they were staying. It was absolutely beautiful. It was a beautiful place, and they all attested to it that it was very beautiful. And when they got there, everybody sat down. They were just chilling after the whole. They have calmed down, undressed, and unpacked. And guys, guys things now they don't waste time. If it's girls, we have to check in our makeup, do our hair. But guys, they just pull up their clothes, change, and they're all back to the sitting room. And Ebuka decides that he wants to give the guys some gifts. And when he said he wants to give the gift, it just sounded cliche to me, because for every reality show that I watched, the first things they do, or the first thing they do when they meet, is that they get to know themselves, and then they start gifting themselves, which on a normal day for me is absolutely not realistic, because I won't meet somebody the first time or the second time and next time I'm already buying the person gifts. I have to know you. It doesn't mean that I'm not a gifting person, but and sometimes the gifting itself, it just be like, I want to show off something like that. So I was like, is this going to be the same for the women's setting to the men's setting? And Ebuka proved me wrong. The first thing he did was he gave Onoja his package. I told Onoja to open it, only for Onoja to find $1 in his package. And he said this $1 showed that you love money too much, and he's trying to show you that you love money. Do you understand? If you understand what I mean. And then Jimmy. No, let me not talk about Jimmy yet. So he gave Alistair juice. He said Alistair loves juice, so he gave juice. He gave Alistair juice. That was random. It was thoughtful. It was realistic for me. And he gave Alistair juice. He gave Zubby sushi. He said Zubby is not one to always want to try new, but at the end of the day, they found a way to They found a way to settle the entire thing, and before you know it, they go back to talking, but there was already an underlying beef. But one thing I really respected about Zuby was the fact that he was very matured about it. That's one thing I wasn't really expecting. Trust me, I wasn't really expecting, but Zuby was very matured about it. Even after he said all the things that he said, he still didn't make that like a deciding factor on how he thought Timini should be or how he wanted the trip to be, right? So he continued immediately after they talked about the whole biggest actor in Africa thing. Jimmy came in and made sure that he caught through that conversation so he doesn't get so much heated up. And they said they wanted to go to like a basketball game that was happening in Rwanda, and the biggest people are going to be there, and they went. Zubi said he didn't want to go because he didn't want, obviously, Ebuka already said that he didn't like to try new things, but they convinced him and he went. When he went, he enjoyed himself. And the next thing is Timini is saying, see this local boy, see this, and I kind of felt like because you had the opportunity to be exposed to a lot of things, do not mean that you should undermine um or look down on other people. I don't know if Timmy is doing it for the camera. I don't know if he wanted to just do it because he wanted to say it. But I just felt like it was a little bit offensive for him to be saying those kind of things to somebody else that he practically didn't really know so much about. And he said it was like, look at this local boy. And I felt like Zuby was just trying to be himself. And that is what I wanted. I wanted people to be on reality TV shows where they are themselves. Be the best version of yourself. Let's see. Let's be able to judge and say, yes, this person is a good person or a bad person. But the best thing is being you, right? And Zuby was being him. He was just enjoying and excited about the entire game. And that was something I really, really loved. And when they were done with the game, some people came to me, Zuby, and they were like, oh my God, celeb. And Jimmy was like, Semina, I thought you said you were the biggest actor. How come nobody's coming to run to come and meet you? Okay, in Rwanda also, they had the conversation about, Jimmy had the conversation with Alista about what happened between him and Timini in as regards his wedding. And Timini had the conversation with Onoja about what happened as regards the wedding. But Timini and Jimmy didn't come together to actually discuss the entire beef. They just, said one or twos to the person that they were close to at the time. And Timini was a bit close to Onoja. I think he felt like Onoja was smarter or something. So he didn't he felt like he could, converse with Onoja easily. And he told Onoja about what happened with Jimmy at the wedding. And Jimmy told Alice that what happened. Right after that, they had a dinner right after the entire conversation where the both of them were just talking. But one thing I really appreciated about guys is the fact that they still know how to go through their day-to-day activities even when they have underlying beef without actually making it look very, very, very obvious. For women, it will make it very, very obvious. But for the guys, they just, went about their day, waiting for the time that the thing was going to explode. And that evening, I think the dinner was when it exploded, because when it got to the dinner, everybody was talking. And I think Onoja, in his mind, thought that because Timini went to go and tell him something, he should be the one to be the peacekeeper. And that's how he decided to bring up the subject. And that was where I had an opinion. I was like, why put your mouth to something that does not concern you? If these people wanted to talk about it, they'll talk about it. When it gets to a point where they can't converse easily and there's this tension around them, they will have no choice than to actually bring it up and talk about it. You putting yourself there like the peacemaker felt like you just wanted to put your mouth, or you just wanted to poke nose, like they would say. You just wanted to put your mouth in what does not concern you. Mind the business that pays you. And I felt like he didn't. But it also came from a place of, guys, I want you guys to trash this thing out and I want you guys to be friends. So it can be looked in two ways, but either ways, it didn't turn out well for Onoja, actually. So Onoja brought up the topic on the dining table and said that, and asked a question, right, about if you didn't come for wedding or something. She said that regards to what happened between Jimmy and Timini. And the next thing, Jimmy flipped on the dining table and was like, what concerns you? Why did you bring it up on the table? If I wanted to address this, I would have addressed it. In my mind, I felt like Jimmy wasn't entirely honest with what happened, and he didn't want anybody to know about it, because he was saying his own side of the story, but didn't really give Timini the chance to actually say his own side, but wanted everybody to feel like he was right for Timini not coming to the wedding. And then Timini was like, okay, guy, what didn't even happen? Did you tell everybody that you called me and you spoke to me in a very bad way, or in a wrong way, or in a disrespectful way? Did you tell people that? You didn't say it. So why are you making it feel like I didn't come to your wedding? I had a kind of beef with you or something. And they decided that okay, let's trash it out outside the group. And Timini said, okay, let's go. And Jimmy and Timini went out and talked about it. Apparently, Jimmy talked to Timini in a kind of disrespectful way and said that go and get your outfit ready because the tailor or the fashion designer is waiting for you. And Timini felt like that was disrespectful. For me, I felt like if you be guy, I think call you there is a guy alpha waiting the sup now. Go carry your measurement, you the Chris waiting. But I didn't feel like Timini felt like he had a relationship with Jimmy. I felt like they were like not very deep, so Jimmy didn't have a right to talk to him that way. And at the end of the day, they trashed it out and became bodies back, romances or whatever. They just sorted it out, and came back. I'm going to be